Hi, this is Anurag, and today we are going to take a look at hard surface technique. So, what is hard surface technique? So, hard surface technique is something when you create uniform object or a mesh without having any kind of detail in it, minute details like rust, small roughness details. You don't create any kind of bump thing, you don't make any displacement in the surface, you don't use sculpting in it, you use the basic modeling tools, and sometimes people prefer to use some add-ons that are very famous with it, naming the famous box cutter tool. But today we are not going to use any kind of such add-ons, and he will do completely, we will do it completely with the basic tools that are available with Blender. So let's start. So here we go. We have a mesh that is a cube. We have to select the edges on the sides. If you select it like this, you'll get the desired ones. Yeah, and now you should give it a bevel. This makes it look better. I'll give 4 of them, and we'll do something with the side faces. This looks pretty empty, so we'll give it 3 loop cuts. So let's give and we'll bevel these loop cuts with 0 subdivisions, and we'll intrude it on the XY plane. We'll extrude it inwards, and it looks pretty nice on the sides. So the basic structure is achieved here, and we'll do something with the top face even. So I will extrude it upwards, and I will scale it, and then I'll insert a face, and then I will extrude it downwards, and then give it a bevel. Now what we should do is I'll take the edges on the sides, all the sides, I'll give it a bevel with 0 subdivisions, and I'll extrude it up so to give a nice kind of surface detail. It's not a minute detail, it's something which helps you create macro detail. So it is involved, and like this you should do to the side faces. And we are going to select all these faces, we'll insert face, we'll extrude them inwards. Yeah, and I'll take the edges and I'll give it a bevel to make it look better. Now what we have in the top face is actually looking pretty odd, so I will duplicate it up. So actually here people would do inserting faces, and they will try to do something which will be pretty odd in that time. So they will insert faces, they will make small details, extrude, intrude, like that. Or sometimes people cut the faces and they make some pretty random faces at that place, and it's pretty it's like when you create something that is not really creative. So to get creative, I'm creating something which looks like this. And actually I flipped the normals because so that it won't get a horrible shading when I go to the object mode again. So it is okay now. I'll do it with this face even. So you can see that there was a kind of face overlapping when I did that insert faces. So when you have some faces and you do insert faces in Blender, actually it causes you some kind of annoying thing there, because Blender doesn't have that feature of cancelling those faces which are overlapping. so it should have that, but it's not there. So what you can really do is extrude it and then you can scale it. So that would be a good option for when you want to use the insert faces and all the faces are overlapping like this. Here also you can see. Here I will keep the bevel. I will scale it on the Z axis. I'll move it down and I will scale this part also, and I will do that same extrude and scale. I'll extrude it inwards. I'll add 3 loop cuts and bevel them, and then I will extrude them inwards or down. Yeah, it gives a nice look to it. And in fact this tutorial is only of 10 minutes, so you can create such good models in just 10 minutes. So it's pretty good that Blender allows us to use such tools, but we don't really realize that always. So it's like we want things to be done in the easiest way, and actually people go to a lot of add-ons for this. But if you think really innovative, you can come up with tools and you can create your add-ons, even because most people don't realize the tools have a pretty good use when you use them in the right way. So I won't suggest you to use any kind of add-on. If you do so, you should not use any kind of add-on there. If you're a beginner, you should rely on your own skills. Yeah, if you are working for huge projects, you should use add-ons, and you can also use you can also download few models and you can use in a big project. But where if you're practicing, you should always rely on your skill. That's actually better when you do things like this. Yeah. So we'll now this won't work. I think I should extrude it, scale it on X, Y and Z, no, Y and Z planes. I'll move it a bit there, and I think it's okay now. It gives a good look. And what shall we do now next? I think I shall give a face that spins on the sideways. It spins sideways. I'll spin this face, so I'll drop the 3D cursor there, hit T for tools panel, spin it. I will spin it like this. By the way, if you don't know this how the spin tool works, you should have your hands on it. It's a pretty nice tool that Blender offers, and it's very handy when it comes on creating hard surface. So it's a good tool for hard surface technique. And I will adjust this face over there. I don't really like to mirror this face because I would just do something that's much easier, or that's much faster than that. So go for the most fastest thing that you prefer to do, because that will help you to get that thing better. Because when you go things like you want to create something which most people create in their way, so you can go wrong because that's not your style. So you should pick up your style first, and then you should go with, like, I'm doing a lot of things like this, but you might prefer to do it differently, so you should do it differently. By the way, um, at the end of the day, the thing should be same, because it's the goal that I and you want to achieve are similar, so that thing should be the same. The technique can be yours, the tools that you like to use should be yours. And if you like to use the way I do it, you would be little bit more precise, because this is a full um, means I have made hundreds of drafts to it before doing it like this, so you can rely on my method of doing it. This can be the most accurate one, but if you have, you should go with your one only. And there we go, we have to add loop cuts over here. We added loop cuts on zero subdivisions, and we'll extrude them inwards on the y and z planes like this, and I'll move it, and we are almost done. So I'll add some details to it like this, and I will subdivide it into 4 faces, and I will give it a bevel. I will extrude them inwards. It looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. Let's go to object mode. I will save it as hard surface tutorial draft. Okay, it's done. And here I would like to add some, let's leave it like this. I'll make a new tutorial for adding materials into it, because you've created a lot of polys and you need to add something to it. And if you don't if you're not able to give materials to it, if you cannot make it look better, and if you cannot add materials to it has no use. So I will make a tutorial for adding materials into it. So that's all for this time, and we'll meet again in a new tutorial.